Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Now 7.4 is almost upon us, and this time around, for like the first time ever, I'm actually not going in completely blind, because 7.4 did have a fairly extensive beta and I was a part of it. Now the beta was quite a while ago, and I do not recall everything perfectly, but I did briefly revisit streams to remind myself some of the boss fights, and basically that is what we're going to be doing in today's video. I'm going to be going over all of the boss fights by specific champions that you will encounter there, and I also will kind of mention my personal MVPs from the beta test. That being said, this beta test was done obviously a while back, so my roster is looking significantly different, so I'm sure I would have used some different champions there. And on top of that, we had to use fairly outdated rosters in that beta as well. And I recall specifically, for instance, wishing that the Nebula that I had ranked up would have been ranked up in there as well, and a few other champions. But we're going to get to my personal MVPs from memory in a moment. First, we're going to go over all the bosses starting from 7.41. So 7.41 was the robot kind of meta, and if I remember correctly, Magneto did take good care of at least a couple of them. But yeah, so 7.41 bosses are Darkhawk, Guillotine 2099, and Ultron. Don't specifically remember all of the details, but you guys are more than welcome to go and check out my live streams. I will leave a link to the live streams below that you guys can go and see these boss fights with the full nodes. If they remain the same. Keep in mind this is beta, and obviously they could have changed several things since then, and they likely did, but most of the fights should still kind of carry the same identity. So the first 741 was full with robots, Ultron, Guillotine 2099, Darkhawk. Then we have second bosses, which is Yellow Jacket, Sabretooth, and Crossbones. Yellow Jacket, again, need to be careful because he is going to be very, very tanky boss, and when he goes in his overheat mode, overload mode, whatever it's called, then you do need to be very kind of like careful of that moment, because if you can strike him when he's overcharged, then it's going to be bad business. Then we had in 7.43 Mangog, King Groot, and Purgatory. Now 7.44 we have Super Skrull, which I do remember being quite annoying. I genuinely do remember that Super Skrull being quite a big pain in the bottom, and Mojo and Annihilus, so these do look a bit more menacing. And then we had Mr. Negative, Killmonger, and Namor, and that is about it. Obviously I did not get the chance to fight against Kang, and I have zero experience against that Kang in general so far, for now, for next 24 and some hours. Right. Now, what do I remember from my MVPs? I definitely do remember that still Kingpin was one of the kings of the contest. Again, keep in mind that every third path in this entire thing is going to be a paradox lane. However, paradox lanes now will be easier to do than when I did them. But if I'm being like fully honest, when I played through 7.4 beta, I wasn't completely over the moon. It kind of seemed like it mashed together the more annoying parts of 7.3 and 7.2 as well. And that's kind of the point, I suppose, of the chapter. But yeah, I genuinely did not enjoy it as much as I did, let's say, 7.2. I'm not going to say it's a bad piece of content. I didn't think so. I thought there were still plenty of fun fights. It's just that those paradox lanes and some of the more annoying nodes from 7.2 did kind of, well, first of all, they felt repetitive. It didn't feel like it's anything new there, like it was with even paradox or 7.2 nodes or 7.1 nodes. Every single time before that, it was something new, it was something different. In 7.4, there were virtually no new nodes and very few kind of like interesting node combinations compared to the previous chapters. So it all felt a bit of a rehash and a bit of a repetitive and redundant already at this point. But there will still be definitely plenty to enjoy. When we are talking about the difficulty level was virtually the same as 7.3. You can definitely get through it without items and things like that, because, you know, there is a plan, there is a way, there will be plenty of cheese lanes, and if not, then, you know, there aren't very many kind of like super intense hard fights. Like rest of the Act 7, really. Again, I do not know how bad that Kang boss will be. Again, back to the MVPs again specifically. So Kingpin was definitely one of my most used champions, but alongside Kingpin, I seem to recall using a ton of King Groot. King Groot was really good for this stuff, and so was Ultron. Those three champions still stand in my mind kind of like head and shoulders above the rest. There were a couple of Mystic lanes where you largely want to use Mystic champions. Then I do definitely recall Mole Man putting in plenty of work as well. Hulkbuster alongside Ultron, and then your obvious champions like Doctor Doom, Human Torch, and Magneto. Magneto definitely played a role in there as well. But definitely as my kind of like go-to champions for most part, it was Kingpin, Kingpin, Ultron, and King Groot. Those guys just did phenomenal work. All right. That being said, I don't want to keep you guys too long here, but I will obviously point out the fact that as soon as 7.4 comes out, I will be jumping straight in it. I will be streaming it, the evening completion run, maybe start of exploration, and next morning I'll be starting to explore it, and I do plan to explore it, well, basically as soon as possible, hopefully within a day or two max, and then obviously is also when you can expect guides to start coming out shortly, a few days after 7.4 has been dropped. So if you haven't subscribed yet, or if your teammates have not subscribed yet, definitely please ask them to subscribe. That will mean the world to me, and we can all have fun as soon as 7.4 comes out. There's tons of cool stuff planned for later on in the channel as well, with Battlegrounds and everything else. So I do plan on having a ton of useful and helpful content for you. So I hope that, if not by now, no, if you haven't subscribed by now, that maybe today is the day that you do decide to hit that subscribe button. But yes, I am personally extremely excited right now for 7.4, then for Return of Battlegrounds, and then for everything else. And it finally feels like MCOC is kind of alive again. It has been very, very dark and gloom and dreary period, like 3-4 months now for the game, where very little has been happening. Finally, it seems like there is a bit of life brought back to the game. But now that is definitely it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys found it useful. As I said, I will leave the links to these streams in the video description below. And that being said, all the best to you guys, and I'm going to catch you guys later. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about